Hey, and welcome to, well, I guess that's going to depend on which side of the podcast waters you're tuning in from. For all the AT Banter folks, hey, welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
Banter.
And for all of those Limitless folks, well...
Welcome to the Limitless Podcast.
That's right. We're doing a little bit of a mashup, as they call it in the industry. We've done this before. Of course, I was actually sad that last time we did this back in the summer, I actually missed it because I was on vacation. So I'm excited to be involved in this episode. We're doing this because our topics happen to align this week. And we thought, what the heck? Let's just record one big podcast episode and see where we go. So we've got a room full today, and we've got a big show because it's a very exciting topic. So I'm not going to waste too much time, except to say that, of course, who is here? My lovely co-hosts for the AT Banter folks. Of course, Mr. Ryan Fleury.
Good morning.
Mr. Steve Barclay.
Nobody's called me lovely in quite some time.
Well, listen, it was you were due. You were due, especially at 9:30 in the morning. You're particularly lovely.
Why? Thank you.
And of course, we have our very special host, Shawn Marsolais here.
Hello. Yeah. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you and welcome.
I know this is just a disaster when you mash up two podcasts. It's
tricky. Yes.
Things spiral out of control really quickly.
And can I introduce
yes.
Alethea, who's one of our Blind Beginnings youth leaders. Welcome, Alethea.
Thank you so much for having me.
And joining us from parts unknown, longtime friend of the show, Albert Ruel. Albert, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. This will be fun. I know it will be.
Has Albert been on the show as much as I've been on the show? How good of a friend is he of the show?
No, it's going to my second or maybe third time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you beat.
Yeah, Shawn's in the double digits, I think. Well, listen, we should get right to why we have gathered here today.
Today we're talking about the Glide, which is a new piece of technology to assist people who are blind to navigate. And all of us participated in a demo a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to talk about our impressions of this exciting new piece of technology, what we loved about it, what our concerns are, if we're going to get one. So yeah, I'm really excited for the conversation.
The demo day took place at actually the offices of Canadian Assistive Technology. It was pretty cool. I was there for part of the day. We had Amos and Luke from Glidance were there giving out demonstrations and then following up with a bit of a question and answer period. And so Shawn and Albert and Alethea, you guys all tried it out. But let me ask you this, what had you heard previous to signing up? Like what sort of got you excited enough to sign up for this demo day in the first place? Shawn, why don't you go first?
Okay, well, interestingly, it was actually Alethea's family that told me about this device. Her dad had seen some video clips of it online, and so I learned about it in the summer, and I kind of pictured this vacuum cleaner type shaped thing that would guide me around obstacles and stuff. But that's pretty much all that I knew of it, that it was using AI and that it sort of, you'd push it in front of you and it would steer you around obstacles. But I didn't know much, as is usual with technology and me.
Things haven't changed.
No, they really haven't.
So Alethea, then maybe I'll ask you then, when did the Glide first sort of show up on your radar?
So it showed up, of course, my dad was like, oh, this thing, it's got AI in it. And it's like it's like a thing, you have a handle and you hold on to it and it guides you around obstacles. And for me, when he brought it into my life, the first thing I thought was like, oh, just another, random piece of technology. And I think what was the turning point for me was actually when, number one, it was made by a blind person, and number two, it has AI in it. And I was just like, okay, if my dad and my mom are both saying it's worth it, like, because he showed it to mom and stuff. I'm like, okay, I gotta try this. I've always been like kind of hesitant to use technology in my travels because, I find like for me, it's like, oh, I want to just use the tools that I have and stuff. But I feel like this actually might be super promising.
And Albert, how about you?
As I was listening to the others, I thought, where did I first hear? And I think when I first heard about it was at one of our Canadian Council of the Blind chapter meetings here in Parksville. And the other co-member, Richard Peakfout, one of our members, I think he was the one who first introduced it to me. He had seen something online. So I raced home right after that meeting, had a look at the videos and stuff and read their website and thought, oh my God, I'm in. And this was like June of last year, because as soon as I heard about it, I bought in immediately. They had it on like a 40% discount or something. And I just dove right into the deep end head first. It sounded like exactly what I've been waiting 23 years for.
Wow.
And the other issue for me is that my go-to talking GPS app is the one that Amos Miller created when he was working for Microsoft, which was called Soundscape. Then it's since been sort of turned over to the world as open software, and so I use Voice Vista every time I step out the door and go for a wander down the street, and I recognized the spectacular nature of that app that he created. It filled in all the holes, all the information gaps that I had when I was out wandering around, and so I had a great deal of trust in his workmanship. So I had no hesitation about just jumping right in.
So you were the first wave of, like, you've already invested your money and you're going to be getting your Glide like early 2026?
That's correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I bought
exciting.
in July last year.
Okay. Yeah. So did you demo it before you invested?
No.
Oh,
No,
wow.
this demo on September 24th at Canadian Assistive Technologies was my first time getting my hand on it.
Wow. Okay. That's so exciting.
And both Richard and I bought in last summer, like
Right.
the two from the CCB chapter here. And when we got back on the Hallo ferry on the way home, I said, okay, Richard, so are you sorry you did? Are you happier you did? And both of us, without any hesitation, indicated that this was even better than we had anticipated it was going to be.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow.
So
That's
it's
so
like,
cool.
just wandering up and down that hall, the thing just kind of wiggles back and forth. It's seeing the walls. It's keeping you in the middle. When you hit that left button and it turns down that next hallway, it was just seamless. And I don't know, I thought it was going to be a little clunkier than that. So no, I was pretty excited to get my hands on it on September 24th, and I'm even more excited about finally receiving. Because the one sad part is, I'm not going to use that thing in the house here, right? I will use it in public buildings, but it's out in the street.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I was really hoping we get to test, but
I know.
of course it's just a bit early for that, and we'll get there too.
Maybe we should back up and sort of properly explain the Glide. Steve, do you think you could give a description of what it looks like and what it does?
So In terms of what it looks like, if any of you remember being little kids and pushing around a little thing that had balls in it, and it would pop the balls up as you pushed it along. I'm not sure what those things are called, but it looks like one of those for adults. Only no balls inside. Instead, it's got artificial intelligence and a bunch of cameras. So you've got a central unit that's on the ground with two wheels on either side. You've got a handle that's coming up from it that kind of shaped like a shovel handle. And you basically push it. It does not drive on its own. You have to exert force on it to push it. And it is monitoring your environment and calculating the best route for you to get past whatever obstacles are in your path. I should also mention that I came in this morning, opened up my email, and blammo, there was an email that said, "Dear Steve," because they know me. We're thrilled to announce that today we officially launched Glide's Pathfinders pre-order cohort. We're truly excited to take this next leap and to grow our community to be even stronger. There are just 500 spots available at this 20% discount, so if you aren't already a pre-order customer, make sure to put your name down early. We have a number of bundles available, as well as the option to pay over 6 equal monthly installments. If you feel ready to glide with us, everything you need is in the pre-order link below, www.glidance.io/pre-order. So they're doing the next round of 500.
Mm-hmm. And just to add to that, if I may, Steve, it's those of us who bought in on the first go around have been given 5 discount codes. I've already given one of my discount codes away, so I've got 4 discount codes. If anybody's buying in now on this 20%, you can get an extra 5% off if you use a discount code from somebody who's already bought it.
Wow, good to know. Okay.
And how many beers do they have to buy you to get that extra 5%?
Nothing. I just want to bump into them out in the street. That's all. I want to see if we can do bumper cars with these things. Will they avoid each other? There's some questions to be asked yet.
Right. Indeed.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, did you try it out? Did you have any preconceived notions of what this was?
I had seen videos. I had heard other podcasters talking with Amos and their team from Glidance about the work being done, and was pretty excited as well. I had a guide dog for about a year and a half, and using a cane as well. I found that the Glide was a very freeing way of moving about a space, just like the dog was. Even though we were inside hallways, you could imagine yourselves not having your cane get stuck between sandwich boards or table legs, on patios. All these sort of little obstacles that we encounter as cane users just would have disappeared, just like with a dog moving around stuff that you didn't even know was there. The Glide, in my mind, will do the same thing. So even the few minutes I had in the hallways, walking towards a dead end, it would break itself, right? It would stop and you could explore around a little bit. And so I almost pulled the trigger this morning on the pre-order, but I pulled myself back.
Right.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, like I was hesitant to do the pre-order too, but I was like, okay, so part of me was just like, I was going like, I know this is, I tried the prototype. I won't spoil what happened because we haven't gotten there yet. But I was just like, part of me was like, okay, no, maybe not. But then the other part of me is like, you just got to do it. This is probably going to be one of the most like game-changing things
Absolutely.
in terms of mobility aids for the blind that I'm going to get. So
yeah.
5% more with a 25% discount.
I know that's tempting. I haven't ordered either because I really want to try it outside. I feel like a hallway. So at the demo, we got to walk around a hallway inside a building, and it did have corners and twisty turns, and that was really cool. And I love that it has 3 buttons on the handle, left, right, and forward. So if you know that you want to take the next left, you can push that left button in advance and it will just turn you left when you get there. I love that. Like, I can definitely see how helpful it'll be, but I'm sort of like, but how does it work outside? How does it work over bumpy terrain? How do you, going up and down stairs?
Oh yeah, actually, I could answer the bumpy terrain question.
Oh yeah?
Because actually, that was one of the questions asked at our session when we were at the office there, and basically, apparently, they're gonna make it so that wheels, so you can like take off the wheels and put on like different sizes. So it's almost like cane tips, but wheels.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all the questions asked, like there was an answer for everything and it sounds amazing, but I'm just a little bit skeptical.
Yeah.
Is it
I think
really
we
going to be
all
able to
had
do
a little
all
bit
that?
of skepticism in us, at some point. But for me, I hear the potential. I mean, yeah, I have concerns, but I always have to tell myself, you just try to prototype it. It's not the full thing yet,
Yeah.
It doesn't even have the voice, the
Yeah.
audio feedback yet. Yeah, I think. And have any of you sat in on any of the monthly Gliders calls?
No.
No.
Because over the last year and a bit, every month they pull all the people who have bought in, all come together and they chit chat about, what they've been working on, what new features have been added or are being added, and what sorts of things are we looking for as users. And so we've had lots of those calls. I certainly haven't sat in on anywhere near all of them. But every time we do come together, the community really provides a ton of feedback, a ton of requests about what we want this thing to deliver and what we don't want it to deliver. One of the things that I've said more than once, because it's really critically important, is that we need to be able to adjust the verbosity. Right? I don't want this thing barking at me constantly. Did you get that? Robot guy? No, never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, I don't want a lot of verbal diarrhea when I'm out just wandering the streets. But if I'm inside and now, in a building I've not been to, I want to be able to turn that up. Give me a little bit more. What are you seeing? What are we walking past? Is there a statue here? Why are you going around this thing? I can hear a fountain, but what else could it be? So we've said, and I'm certainly nowhere near the only one, we've said we need to make this thing adjustable. When I want more, let me turn it up. If I want less, let me turn it down.
But where...
The last time I went for a walk around my neighborhood here, just went out for a quick little 15-minute hike around the hood to get the blood flowing a little more, and be damned if I didn't get my face washed 3 times on the walk.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that being a part of history.
Where does because they didn't talk that much about that part of it, the audio, like where is the device yelling at you from the ground? Are you having to wear some headphones?
I think, as I understand it, Shawn, they're putting a microphone and a speaker in the handle.
Oh, okay.
And so, and you will have the capacity to Bluetooth it to your favorite device, like my, my glasses, the Meta glasses, or my, I usually use the Aftershocks bone conducting headset. So you'll be able to Bluetooth it to that.
Okay.
The other thing that I thought was really cool, I don't know that the demo we used had it, but it's going to know whether you're holding the thing in your right hand or your left hand. So it'll give you space on the side where your body is.
Wow.
Oh.
So we had said that right from the beginning, like this thing, we need to be ambidextrous with this thing. And I was thinking, is there a sensor you can put where it'll determine where my thumb is? But what they've actually done is put a sensor in it that detects where you are. Or so most of you is off to the right, or most of you is off to the left. And so it will, that's when it brings you to a flight of stairs. It'll line you up at the handrail on this side or that side of the stairs, depending on how you're holding it.
Okay, so Okay. I had it all organized in my head, like, we'll talk about all the things we like about it, and then we'll talk about all the concerns, but that's just too hard. So since you mentioned stairs, that is one area where it doesn't guide you. The idea is you can push it downstairs or you can lift it to go up the stairs. And yes, if there's a railing, you can just use the railing to guide you. But I guess one concern I have is just the general public, other people on the stairs not knowing that you're blind at that point. Like, do you have concerns about that?
Well, I think the handle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've heard that the handle will be white. So it'll somewhat resemble a white support cane, a white identification
They're going to
cane,
make it, they're thinking about that because that was one question. So I think they will do something. They'll put something on it.
Okay.
So I'm not.
And I think too, Shawn, that little signs can probably be made up, because I know that blind or low vision folks who use walkers and wheelchairs and that sort of thing have a little sign on the front of their walker, for example, that says "I'm blind."
Okay.
Because there's no other way to sort of indicate that.
Yeah.
So my guess is, until this thing is better known, that might be wise if that's a concern. If you're in heavily populated areas, like up and down the stairs to the SkyTrain and that kind of stuff. Over here in Parksville, I think I'll be pretty okay without a sign.
Right.
Yeah, I think they could make the cane handle white and the front end of the thing red, right? Kind of like your cane tips.
Right. Yeah.
That stuff has certainly always been discussed and is certainly under consideration.
So they talked about it being inspired by guide dogs a little bit, and the whole sort of left, right, forward. Also the ability to find, I think, with your voice, like they didn't talk too much about that, but I'm assuming like find the stairs or.
Oh, yeah. They showed that in the demo. Find this, find the counter. They were in a coffee shop. They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like, that's kind of cool that it's like, it'll work the way a guide dog works, but you don't have all the hassle of taking care of a dog.
I was just going to say that. That's why I like it for a new tool, because like I don't want to have to take a dog out.
Right.
Not for me.
What I said to Amos when I got to finally meet him there at Canadian Assistive Technologies, I said, "What the heck took you so long?" Because when I gave back Quincy, my standard poodle, in early May of 2003, I handed him back to the school and I said, "My next guide dog will be a robot." I just didn't know it would take 23 picking years, but it has.
Right. Yeah. I know. I hear you there, Albert. I had the guide dog for just over a year, and I don't think it was for me. I don't know. It was, they're still a live being, and they're not super, they can't be 100% accurate. And I'm assuming that AI is more, there's more likelihood of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know that AI hallucinates too, and so I think we're not looking at perfection here either. And I mean, the biggest thing about this device is no pooch is going to come sniff its butt. None.
Right.
Nada.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it took me 2 years to ruin my guide dog, and one more year to figure out I had ruined him. And it was, in Victoria, you couldn't walk a half a block without being harassed by somebody and their doggone dog.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And that's what drove me completely crazy.
I get your frustration there, Albert, because living on the southern part, a lot in Victoria, there's and I feel like across the whole island, there is a dog culture thing that happens. Oh, it's a dog, or, can I see it? So I get it there.
Say hello. Yeah, go ahead, Rover. Say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's not so, that 2-3 years that I ran that dog around Victoria was, that was tough. I just was under stress constantly. And so what ended up happening was the dog saw that he needed to protect us. So every time a dog got within range, he'd be lunging at him. And, one day in a United Way meeting, he lunged at a guide dog that was walking past us and actually drew blood. So I thought, okay, buddy, I'm sorry, but we can't work like this. So I
No.
handed him, and and I've got immense respect and admiration for those who use guide dogs
Yeah.
over and over again and do it successfully.
Yeah.
Like, that's a special skill I'm
Mhm.
afraid I don't have. I'm just not that dog person, but I love and respect
And
those who
they're
are able
really
to.
sensitive on your energy too. So if you're
Mhm.
high stress and stuff, they're gonna sense it, and
Right. Well, I
that's
have no illusions. It took me 2 years to ruin that poor pooch, and another year to figure out that was me who done that.
Yeah. One of the things I found hard about a guide dog was in a new environment, if it's a new route, it was harder to direct the dog. If I'm not familiar with where we are, then how can I possibly, tell the dog to find a door if I don't know if there's a door? So do you think this device will work in an unfamiliar environment?
It's my sense that it will, but again, no perfection here. It's not going to always work. I think that I will, like, I use a holster for my folding cane,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I will have a cane in my holster on my right hip all the time.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So that when I get into a situation where Rover just can't help, I'm going to, just collapse that handle and lean it up against the wall, and I'll
But
grab my cane and make my
I was
way
just
through.
gonna say, I think though they're working on like Google, like the Glide's gonna have Google Maps integration, so they'll have maps and stuff in the Glide,
Mhm.
like it will have access to all those maps on Google Maps. So
I agree. And even I can run Voice Vista on my iPhone as I'm
Mhm.
using Glide on the street as well.
Right.
Mhm.
For me, it's more around indoor spaces,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
like a
For
mall
me,
or
it's
something.
campsites. Like, we just came from, Stamp River Falls campground in Port Alberni, and I'm kind of wandering around there thinking, all right, Glide, what are you going to be able to do here?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the places that are gray for me. I'm not sure what that's going to do on that gravel road. Am I going to be able to make my way over to the outhouses or
But they
down the
did
path to the river or whatever?
it did say that you can teach it parts of routes
Oh
or
yes, so there's two routes. There's route settings. So you've got the teach and repeat where you go on a route and it learns it. And then you can also follow, I think they're gonna work on it so you can follow Google Maps directions from maybe from the Glide too. I mean, you can have your phone too, but for
Mhm.
me personally, I would I don't like my thing with phones is I don't like pulling phones out on buses because I'm afraid
Mhm.
I'm going to drop them, and sitting on buses is something that for me like balance is a thing, so I just prefer to have it all in one in Glide if I could have it one way.
Right.
But the idea, either way, being that Google Maps is either going to be integrated into it or just you can use it on your phone, that's
Mhm.
going to be a game changer because with canes, I can't necessarily follow Google Maps directions per se because like you have to line yourself up to cross this street. But with Glide, I think they're working on it so that you can just line up. They'll try it may not be perfect, but they're going to try and make sure that you're lined up to cross properly.
Yeah, I think it's going to keep you centered in the crosswalk.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
will see the crosswalk, and if you've asked it to go straight ahead, it'll keep you on that
I
crosswalk.
love that.
Yeah, last week I
Yeah.
got off the bus and went down to the corner, hung a right across the street, and boom, next thing I know, I'm on somebody's front hood because, whoops, I
Yes.
don't know if he was in the crosswalk or if I had veered off, but either way, Glide would have taken me around that without me taking a bit of paint off the poor guy's car.
That's a
Yeah.
huge that's
Yeah,
a
that
huge
one's
win.
huge. Also,
yeah.
random, but I know we talked about Voice Vista. Is Voice Vista just for the iPhone or is it just iPhone, Android? Like where you get it?
I've got it on iPhone. I'm not sure if it's an Android app.
Okay.
It was Soundscape ever Android, you guys?
I don't think so, but I think because Soundscape was no longer made, it was forked off. And so for iOS, we have Voice Vista, but I believe there is an Android fork, but I just don't remember what it's called as well.
I just the reason I fell in love with Voice Vista and its predecessor Soundscape is that it's simple. I don't here in my community, I know my community, I know where home hardware is. I just want to know what streets I'm crossing so that I know when to turn left. I know when to cross the street. So I don't need the guidance to an address very often, but I want to know what's going on. I want to know where I am. I want to be able to daydream between blocks.
Yeah.
Like everybody else. So Voice Vista just does that for me. It alerts me to what street is coming up and what kind of intersection it is, whether it's on the right or on the left. It's a 4-way, 3-way.
Oh,
So
wow.
it gives me all of that info as I approach the street and while I'm listening to the traffic patterns to recognize what kind of an intersection it is I'm approaching. So Voice Vista gives me all that stuff without being intrusive or
Yeah,
or
but for
verbose.
those people, I know this is switching, but for those people who want to have does it give directions too for those people who are in unfamiliar neighborhoods, or is it just more of a
You can set beacons, you can do searches for a place of business and have it guide you there, and it'll do sort of, I think it does clock directions to get you there. So it won't necessarily say, turn left at First Avenue. It'll tell you that this place is, at 10 o'clock, 950 meters away or whatever it is. So it's not perfect. It's not a good turn-by-turn guidance app like Google Maps is. The problem with Google Maps is it doesn't tell you where you are right now. It'll tell you when to turn once you get there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell you the streets. So, if you got enough, if you carry a big enough battery in your backpack, I guess you could turn on both Google Maps and Voice Vista. Then you got the best of both worlds. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they integrate Google Maps in Guide for sure.
Yeah.
So to bring us back to the Glide, Ryan, why have you not taken the plunge yet?
As much as I feel it would give me confidence in traveling independently, my main reason is I still have questions as to what service is going to look like, repairs are going to look like, because I don't want to be having to ship a $2,000 product across the border for service and repair.
Right.
I don't know what that's going to cost. And they're really not talking about that yet because they don't know what that's going to look like yet. I would assume there'll be, regional service centers in different countries, but what that looks like yet, I don't know. And that's just another expense. So I'm going to wait.
Hey, Steve, are they talking to local vendors yet on all that kind of stuff?
Not at this point. We bounced around a couple of options that they've been considering. One of them is, eventually having a dealer channel, but it sounded like that was less likely. It seems more likely that they'll probably place some units out as referral units and then pay a referral fee to anybody who sends someone back to them.
But in terms of repairs and that kind of stuff, it's probably always going to have to go back to the factory or to the main hub, which is Seattle. So an Amtrak train ride away there, Ryan.
Well,
yes, indeed.
And depending on how modular it is, right? There was some talk that you could replace the wheels or replace the handle. So if there's stuff that they can do remotely for the software side of things, there may not be a lot of issues to deal with. The hardware side, if it's something that's user replaceable, maybe my concerns aren't valid. So I don't know.
I'm certainly going to be less rough with it than I am with some other tools. Because I know I was pretty rough with my talking tape measure and it cost me $600 to buy a new one. So they don't bounce well on the concrete. So I think, Shawn, you were saying you can run it down the stairs. I'm thinking, I don't know. I think I'll be picking it up and, it's going to guide me over to a handrail. I might become a handrail user and I'll just pick this thing up and set it back on the floor when I get to the bottom. I don't think I'm going to be bouncing it around quite that hard.
Are any of you concerned about the battery life? So I think they said 6 hours of use on a full charge, which, 6 hours of walking in a day is probably enough, but like getting stranded somewhere and your battery runs out and now you can't get home.
Yeah, that, when I started traveling a lot for work, my iPhone wouldn't, using GPS and, yada, yada, it didn't get me all the way home. If I hopped on a bus from here in the morning and went down to Victoria and did some work and then back on the bus and home again. And so I ended up having to buy a battery bank. So hopefully my pocket juice will give it a couple more hours.
Right.
Well, that's
yeah.
what I'm hoping too, because it is USB-C. If you can't plug it in for an hour to get a quick charge, maybe we can use a power bank, right? Just maybe there'll be a holster or something you can attach the power bank to, plug it in, and get yourself home.
Yeah, and I think they've talked about that being a possibility. So it's certainly part of my loose plans for the future. I've got my little pocket juice in my backpack. It's always going to be with me if I'm out with Glide for sure. But say again though, going back, like indoor spaces is one of those places. You pop into a hotel lobby or go into a mall. Is it going to be smart enough, because there is no GPS guidance system indoors as yet. A few places have been mapped by who's that guy, Mike May, and the organization he's with. So a few places have been mapped, but interior spaces are going to be problematic, and that's where AI, the 3D cameras, and those sorts of tools are going to be the magic piece, the magic potion. Nothing is ever going to replace us being aware of our surroundings, using all those other senses to identify where we are and what's around us. So I'll still be able to find the leather store at the mall because it thinks like dead leather. I mean,
right.
like leather. So, we're still, and even out in the street, it's not going to save me. It's just going to get me to where I want to go with the ability to daydream as I go is my goal. And nobody's talked about snow yet. So when you're ready, let's dive into that snowbank.
Yeah, I agree with but I'm thinking about my understanding is there's sort of the two settings. Like you can just use your left, right, forward on a familiar route. That you want the second left, or whatever, or use a map. So if I was walking through a mall, I'm still able to hear, and I can sort of tell that I'm walking beside the stores, and I know I want to go straight and I want to go around all the people. So I feel like, or even like finding the food court, you're going to use your sense of hearing and smell. You're getting close, but you're going to get there without colliding with people. Like, I don't know. I can definitely see some advantages there.
No, I agree. And they spoke of it frequently that, like, let's say you're crossing a parking lot and that what you're looking for, because you can hear the water fountain and you're headed that way. You can point Glide in that direction and start pushing and push that center button, the forward button. And you'll start pushing Glide, and he'll take you around the obstacles, but always bring you back to that line.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's the piece. We didn't get to test that in the hallways there, but that's going to be the piece. That's going to be the telltale for me is, can you do that for me in a parking lot? Can you do that for me in a mall when I get into these wide open spaces? Are you going to keep my line, or are you going to go and hallucinate and get me lost?
I was just going to say, you guys have had all good experiences, but I think for me, my experience was, it was hard because I've never had to deal with the motion of the guide dog. So when I walk with my cane, I don't have the fast, I walk differently without my cane than with my cane. So it was kind of difficult. And they've had kind of that issue with other people too. So it wasn't just me, but for me, I guess my concern would be that how am I going to be able to adapt to this and stuff like that. But I do think it is promising. If I do learn to do it, I do think it's promising. And I remember it was only one, I think it was not that many cameras. The prototype didn't have as many cameras as the actual one that's going to be released is going to have, but also the prototype they're still learning about it, so it wasn't as reactive to how I walked. So
Alethea, did you find it helped your balance at all?
Honestly, I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I was just trying it, and it was more of I would say it was more of a walking speed factor. It likes the smooth motions, and I don't,
Okay.
you know.
I'd be surprised if it helps much with balance, but would something like using, like a ski pole, what do you call those, a walking
Mm-hmm.
pole, but then you got two hands
Yeah, I don't
working
think it
that.
was a balance issue. I think it was
No,
just me having a different way of walking. So,
Right.
right, brand
Yeah.
spanking new for you. And and this is very different than guide dogs, because
Mm-hmm.
guide dogs, you always have to keep back pressure on the handle and let the dog
Yeah.
pull you,
Right.
whereas this thing does nothing until
Right.
you push it.
That's right. You stop, it stops.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
love the idea that it'll keep me centered on the sidewalk because
Oh,
I have a bit of a
yes.
proneness to spraining the ankle and
Oh,
broken
geez,
feet.
yeah.
So like to know that I don't, because I usually sort of tap my cane and then look for that curb edge. I'm always going back to the curb edge because it's happened so many times. So I love that it'll just keep you away from that edge.
But I'm also I'm also optimistic because with the cane, the one downside that I find with the cane is that you need a lot of mobility training
Mm.
to basically get yourself to places. Okay, you have to line up here to cross here in a certain way because you have a tendency to drift off to the right or to the left. But I think with Glide, it's going to take, I'm hoping it will at least take some of that away. In maybe if I'm going to be very optimistic, most of that away, maybe even all. But I think that because of the shortage of mobility instructors, especially for adults who are outside school systems, which it's an issue in itself. I think it's going to help a little bit. So.
Sure. And I think too, like you've said, that when I approach an intersection, if I haven't told it to turn left or right, it's going to stop at the edge of the curb.
Right.
And at that point, I get to make my decision. Am I going straight across? Then it'll line me up with the crosswalk, or am I turning right or turning left? I also asked Amos and Luke a question because I'm a bit of a rule breaker. No, I'm a lot of that. But so at some point down, I'm walking down Chestnut Street over here, and I think, oh gosh, the bus stop. Voice Vista has told me that my southbound bus stop is over there on the other side of the road. I'm hanging a left right there. I'm not going to the corner.
You're going to jaywalk.
I'm going to jaywalk, and that's when
Right.
he said, "Well, Albert, it's not going to
Let you do that.
correct you if you break rules. It's just going to keep the line for you. So you set that thing down on the street, and you
Ah,
say forward. It's going to
right.
keep you straight across the road until you get to the curb on the other side. The cars, that's your problem. Not
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
so I think they're factoring all of that stuff in because they know that there's more than one Albert out there.
Well, and I wanted to quickly touch on Alethea's point as well, because as many of you know, I lost my sight in Kamloops and was able to get around with a cane and a dog just fine. When I moved to the lower mainland, I've taken no mobility training and I don't travel independently because this city scares the crap out of me. And so something like the guide, being able to either do freestyle or route planning to go down the street to the cafe and have
Yes.
a coffee would give me the confidence, because I know I do
Yeah.
have cane skills,
Yeah.
but I don't necessarily know how to get to that spot. So I could
Yeah,
say,
so how to get
me
there,
there.
that's a thing too for me, right? Like how to get to that spot, and also just like the stress of not, I think for me the stress of like, oh gosh, like what if something crazy happens out there, you get lost and stuff like that. With Glide and things, I think I'll in using tools, of course, I think I would understand my bearings a bit better. So
Yeah, I'd
I'm
still have my cane as well. And,
Yeah,
I
and
can do
cane, of
reverse
course.
route and find my way back. And
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, you guys, when I go out sighted guide with somebody else, I never, ever leave the cane behind.
No.
Never.
Yeah.
Like that, because I know that my mouth will get me dropped off anywhere, anytime. I am not leaving home without the stick in my
Yeah,
in my holster.
definitely.
But
Just-
I just
I'm-
hope though it's gonna give me the confidence to just go out and travel more. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm hopeful for.
I'm curious, Albert, in these group meetings, these monthly meetings, are there orientation and mobility specialists chiming in? Like, what is the sort of impression of O&M's?
That's a really good question. I haven't been on a call where there have been O&M instructors. In my session at Canadian Assistive Technologies on September 24th, there was an OT who does O&M in the room.
Right.
So she was asking questions and checking in. Certainly Amos and the gang they know, I think, that they're going to have to, and they do it, I think, at NFB and AHCB conventions and that sort of thing, regional and national. They do offer sessions, I think, for O&M. And they certainly will be doing some, but the tool is not that complex that it won't be easy. I think it'll be easy for an O&M instructor to pick up on how to teach this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder what that will do to the profession, because like what Alethea is saying, she's blind from birth. You know, like the limited amount of mobility support that there is available really across the lifespan is pretty terrible here, at least in BC. It'd be interesting to see if this is a game changer, and you know, we just got to like hook people up with a glide and give them a couple of lessons and away they go.
Well, I mean, when I think about my own life, I mean, starting to lose my vision in my early 20s, it was all gone by the time I was 34. I got a bit of O&M instruction at the beginning, taught me some cane skills, taught me some of the things the cane can do and the things the cane can't do. And how, I had a good instructor. He basically didn't let me get away with fooling myself. I'm responsible. I'm in charge. So, here's your tool.
Yeah.
Go get it done. So I've not ever, I think I've only ever gone back to an O&M instructor once for a bit of route orientation when I first went up to Prince George. But what I found is that, when I was in Victoria, I only traveled by myself on routes that I knew. And then I took the bus back and forth and yada, yada. And then I kept resisting the early GPS devices until one day, one of those Trekker Maestros this gal was selling it for a price I could afford, because I couldn't afford the $2,000 for those things. And so I bought it, and that changed my life in 3 or 4 sort of significant ways. It meant that I could be wandering down a street I knew, and it told me about a street I was crossing. I thought, I've never been up that street before. Why not? Because I didn't have the fear of getting lost.
Right.
My cane skills were going to keep me safe, and this GPS thing was going to get me back to a known place. So I started wandering off down streets I had never been on before with a whole lot less anxiety. The bus, I couldn't listen to an audiobook riding the bus because I had to pay attention to every bump, every turn, every twist. Once I had that GPS, I sat back on the bus and read a book like everybody else.
Yeah.
Oh, and did it tell you when to get off?
Well, no, it just told me what streets I was crossing as the bus was crossing them.
Oh, wow.
So when it made that left turn onto off of Fort onto Richmond Road, I think it was, that the CNIB office was on. Anyway, when it made that turn, it announced it, and I thought, okay, all right, 3 bus stops down the road is going to be mine. So I could put my book away, pay attention, and so that's what GPS did for me, is that confidence factor in those places where I had some anxiety. I'm anticipating. A buddy of mine over here said to me, he says, "Albert, what are you buying that thing for? You get around really well and wherever you want to go."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, but I do it with an increased heart rate and with a bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
Am I on the street? Am I going to twist my ankle? Bumping into things. They're getting slapped in the face by branches."
That's the thing for me, is like the anxiety going out, right? Like it's how much mental stuff do I want to put myself through?
That's exactly. Like I always say to people, if we're walking together, we got 2 choices here. I can walk with my cane, and then we're just going to shut up because I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
Or I'll hold on to your elbow and we can chat.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are our choices. And I think this thing will give me that reduced level of anxiety so that I can stroll with a bit of spring in my step and I can daydream like everybody else. So that's where I'm going with it. And still too, those 5 days here in Parksville when it snows that one time per year in January, I'm staying home for 5 days.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, they did talk about that if the glide can't see a path, it, through the snow. So if it's not shoveled, it's going to be a problem. But so is the cane. So is the guide
cane
dog.
Doesn't work. Guide dogs don't work that well in the snow. So okay, they haven't resolved that issue. Maybe there'll be some radar thing or the autonomous vehicle technology is what these guys are playing with. And so autonomous vehicles quite often are operating on markers on the road. And as cities get more and more staged up for that marker along Hearst Avenue here might be the one that's what'll keep me on the sidewalk, even in the snow.
Yeah.
But I don't, 6 inches, a foot of snow. Sorry, Glide's wheels are only 7.5 inches tall.
Yeah.
So the underbelly of the chassis is only 3 inches up off the road. So snow is just simply a problem for blind folks and mobility anyway, period.
Yeah. You're right. We live in a climate that we don't get a ton of snow usually, which is nice. So maybe for people who live in a snowier place, this might not be the best choice.
I did a 7-year sentence in Prince George once. And,
7-year sentence.
Well, we went to jail there too and everything. But there, the city was, in the days that I was there through the 1990s, the city was really good at plowing the sidewalk. So they plowed it up onto that verge between the sidewalk and the street. And so I think that Glide, as long as I could put some studded snow tires on it, I think it would do okay.
Yeah.
Keeping that path.
Right. It's just getting over the snowbank at the curb edge.
The snowbank in the middle of the street. Yeah. No, there's going to be problems. It's not going to solve our issues in the snow. I don't think.
Well, and they did mention too that it would be water resistant, not waterproof, water resistant. That's an important distinction. For us in a climate that we don't get a lot of snow, but we do get a lot of rain. So it'll be able to handle rain.
Yeah.
Yes. Like my Ray-Ban sunglasses, they suggest, if it's pouring buckets of rain, you might not want to have those on your face. So, there's going to be some of that. It's not going to like really deep puddles, but 2-inch puddles it'll be able to handle because it won't hit the chassis. So
yeah.
So that campground I was at this weekend had some pretty good holes in it. They were empty on the days we went for walks, but some of them were pretty deep.
Oh, yeah. Will it take you around a pothole? Is that considered an obstacle?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, they're not saying much about gravel operations at this point. They're doing asphalt and concrete pathways and sidewalks, crosswalks. I think users are going to reflect how well this thing works on that and what kinds of tweaks they might be able to do. Like Ryan said, I hope they will give me a set of wheels that will be a little more grippy for gravel use, but smoother wheels for when I'm on concrete.
Yeah,
right.
I hope that will be a thing.
One thing I'm not a huge fan of, and I haven't done a lot of it, is the listening in my ear while navigating out in the world. The whole GPS thing. I find I don't want to be cut off from the natural sounds of life. So I am kind of curious about, like, even the Meta glasses. I have them. I haven't used them a ton outside because I feel almost like there's a barrier between me and life. And it just feels a bit unsafe. But obviously you do that all the time, Albert. How have you kind of overcome that?
I just don't ever put earbuds in my ear. I don't ever put anything in my ear. So I use the Aftershok's bone conducting Bluetooth headset 90% of the time. I've got the Ray-Bans now.
Yeah.
So I use them because they're not plugging my ear.
Yes.
They're just sending sound into it. And,
Right.
and I don't like any app that is too verbose. So
Yeah.
I want to be able to hear footsteps approaching
Right.
and cars stopping at a stop sign half a block away.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what my world sounds like, so I don't want to block anything. And I even found the aftershocks do change that, because there's that big block of plastic in front of your ear,
Mm-hmm.
which changes a bit about how sound comes to you from in front.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
exactly.
even they do alter it a bit, but I'm okay with the amount of alteration.
Right. And it sounds like there would be the option for the sound to come out of the handle of the Glide anyways.
Yeah. And just like, again, perfection, right? If I'm on a busy street in downtown Vancouver, I don't care how you send the sound in, it ain't getting there anyway.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
And so that speaker on the handle isn't going to get to your ears
Yeah,
if
yeah.
there's 3 buses going by.
Right.
It's going to be okay here in a place like Parksville, where we've got lots of quiet little side streets. And I'm a main street avoider anyway. I don't like all that noise.
Yeah.
So I'll take a walk around the block and go over there on that side street to get there. So, none of this works if you're downtown on Georgia Street and there's buses and trucks banging and,
Yeah.
nothing's going to work well. You're gonna be flying by the seat of your pants and knowing that Glide's going to keep you on the sidewalk.
I can see that we're kind of coming to the hour. Is there anything else anybody wanted to say about the Glide?
I've got 4 more.
Okay.
4 more
us.
codes. So, and they only give us 5 each, those of us who were the early adopters. And so if anybody wants an additional 5% off,
Amazing.
give me a call, albertruel@gmail.com, and I'll send you a code.
Perfect.
Okay, good to know. I'll keep that in mind and make my decision before this airs.
Well, keep in mind,
right?
pre-orders opened today, October 15th, and there's only 500 available, right? So you kind of need to decide now,
Immediately.
because
Yes.
500, I think, will be gone by the end of the day.
I think I have to wait to actually see the final product. That's just the way I am. And I really like, with every piece of technology, I'm like, I'm just going to let other people try this out first and see what they really think. I think I want to talk to you again, Albert, when you get it, or maybe come and visit you in Parksville so I can try it.
That's not an unwise position,
Yeah,
'cause
it is.
People
It
have
is
followed machines off a cliff before us.
right, and it is a significant amount of money. It's reasonable given what it will do, but it's an investment. So there's kind of that too.
Cheaper than vet bills.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that.
The infamous vet bills.
Yes.
It's not going to be much to cuddle up to on the floor when you're watching a movie. But whatever. You don't have to brush the hair off when you're done
That's
either.
right.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, I think I'm really looking forward to it, and I certainly, because Amos Miller is the founder of this thing, and I have a huge amount of respect and trust in his work that he did with Soundscape. I didn't hesitate when I first heard of it, but I'm one of those guys who, as soon as I get into a hotel room, I grab that remote control to see if I can figure out how to use it. Right?
Yeah.
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 I've always been that.
And they've done it. They've done it right. They've been engaging with the community from day one, right? And they're very serious about listening to the community's needs and developing a product that is going to meet as many needs as it can at launch. So, yeah, I
The
think
fact
there's
that
confidence in
Amos-
that.
The fact that Amos is blind and has been using this as his mobility device,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this prototype is also encouraging. It's not some sighted person who just had a great idea of how something would be helpful. So
Yeah. Yeah. And we've seen that a lot, in the assistive technology field. There's been plenty of mobility devices that have been designed by, some engineering student somewhere, some sighted engineering student that just, and they haven't consulted with the community, and they've come and gone. So this feels different. This feels very much like it could really break through as another tool in the mobility toolbox, so they say.
yeah.
And I like that he's keeping the price point in a place where people will be able to find a way to purchase it. And Steve indicated at the beginning, they're offering a 6-month payment plan if
Yeah.
with the full shot is a bit hefty. So I trust that it'll be here, but if it was another one of these $6,000 or $7,000 devices,
Right.
I wouldn't have even taken a sniff at it. But because it was under $2,000,
Yeah.
I'm willing to take a look at that. But
Right.
not if you get up into that $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 range. Not doing it.
Yeah. Well, this has been so great. I'm really excited at what the future has in store for us. And I'm excited to talk to you, Albert and Alethea, when you get your devices and see what you think. So we might have to have a part 2 here.
Yeah.
We'll have to have a part 2.
Yeah.
Well, I try it. If it works really well, I'll talk to everybody. If it doesn't work really well, I'll try and keep my mouth shut. I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
Well, and you may not have to wait too long because they're saying your first deliveries could be spring of next year, right? So it's right
Yeah,
around
they're
the
saying
corner.
by the summer we will have our devices in hand. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, it was supposed to be this fall originally, but then
Yeah.
they've had to completely redesign the hardware because they didn't want a device that's going to fall apart on you the first time you bang it down a flight of stairs, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So they've reconstructed it, and that set them back. So it's going to be spring or at the very least early summer.
Great. Well, I smell another crossover episode. I'm excited. We'll definitely have to have a part 2. And a big thanks, of course, to Shawn and Albert and Alethea for coming on and joining us. We will see everybody next week.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions, as well as physical access solutions and augmentative communication aids across Canada. Find us online at www.canastech.com, or if you're in the Vancouver Lower Mainland, visit our storefront at number 106-828 West 8th Avenue in Vancouver. That's 1 block off Broadway at Willow. You can reach us by phone toll-free at 1-844-795-8324 or by email at sales@canastech.com.